regarding the future of your organics company. As your management consultant, I've assembled a series of slides for us to go through. So let's begin. Here are the items that we will cover in today's meeting, starting with the situation, an in-depth analysis, some potential options for you to consider, my recommendations, a timeline to implement the changes according to your budget, and some risks to consider. I will conclude by opening up the floor for any questions or concerns that you may have. When taking a look at your situation from a very high level, it is clear that you have an operation management problem, and this just refers to the managerial problems that you two were explaining to me initially. For example, your limited knowledge and growth strategies. Additionally, as any passionate entrepreneurial business owner, you have some financial concerns relating to growing your business too fast. So you summarize your situation by asking me a single central question: are we in the right industry? And the answer is absolutely. But let me explain why using the Sorter analytic method. These are just three of your main concerns that we discussed earlier, relating to pace of growth, competition and rivalry, and finally, target demographic and how to advertise to them. My analysis has been structured around these points, and hopefully answering them can help you to make the best decision for your company. Sarah and Christian, let me begin by addressing some relevant numbers from your income statement. So this is kind of the root of your concerns, and as business owners, it is only reasonable to be thinking about your finances. With sales and gross profit up 25% from the previous year, net income up 18%, and a 35% profit margin, you should be proud and comfortable with those numbers. The point that I'm trying to make is that you are making great returns in a market that you are in, and you have earned the flexibility to implement change. Speaking of the market, you own 48% of the organic food sector, which is part of a $190 million industry. Not to mention, the market has seen rapid growth of about 10% a year. The point here is that the market has a very high ceiling, and being a major player allows you to have more influence on market growth. This brings into question how attractive the market is for your business. The general idea is that it is very attractive for you to be in. This is because of low buyer power, relatively low supplier power, low threat of substitutes because it is a niche market, and at this point, you do not have any realistic rivals. With that being said, a definite threat is that of new entrants, meaning that it is extremely easy for another grocer to enter the organic food business, either in Gedsville or the sought-after Julius City. In saying that, let's take a look at just a few of your competitors in the market and where you align with them. So it's pretty clear that you find yourself in a category of your own right now, with a healthy balance between high quality and above average prices. You'll also notice that Sager's Food Mart is the closest competitor to you, and as they gain traction through community involvement and product development, we should expect them to close this gap. However, you can combat this by acting now before your rivals have a chance to catch up with you. Now let's take a step back from the industry and focus on your business specifically. I've conducted a SWOT analysis, which I'd be happy to break down for you at a later time. But for now, I just wanted to highlight that your competitive advantage lies in market position and financial strength. You should capitalize on this before your competitors have a chance to gain traction. At this point, you're probably wondering how to make an expansion work, and my suggestion is to take a market development approach. Maintain your successful operations and processes that you have going on in Gidsville and apply them to a new market in Julius City. This will not only help you to grow your business, but also penetrate target demographic early on. Speaking of which, who is your target demographic? Of course, this data has been provided by Kyler's marketing agency and focuses on 4 main demographics, and I will not go through the details of each, but the key takeaway is that your target market is upper class couples or families. This is because they have the highest income and monthly expenditures, and a relatively low price sensitivity, making them price takers. Also, keep in mind that we will still sell to all demographics, but focusing on the high spenders allows us to tailor our marketing strategies. So let's shift gears into some of the possible alternatives you could take. These have been derived using the MECE method, which starts with doing nothing. Sarah and Christian, it is no secret that you have done extremely well in your current market within Gidsville and it is reasonable to just stick with it. You could also decrease prices by lowering your product quality. You could focus on your company culture and managerial development. Or partner with a closely related business and avoid fighting for clientele. You may also want to buy that retail space in Julia City and expand your operations there. And finally, the last option is getting out of the organic food market and focusing your efforts elsewhere. To grade each option, I will take into consideration some of the most important criteria to you, including growth, risk, familiarity, and of course cost in order to stay within your budget. I've compiled this data into a decision matrix. Along the top, you'll notice the criteria, where a green checkmark indicates that the alternative is a positive, and a red X indicates a con. And of course, on the left, you'll notice you have your 6 potential options. According to this decision matrix, the best possible decision is to expand to Julia City. This is because it heavily promotes growth into a national brand. It is less risky because the Julia City market is comparable to the Gainesville, which you've already had success in. It is familiar because you can focus on what you do best in Julia City. And finally, it is neutral for cost. And this means that although it will be very expensive to expand, it has the potential for very high returns. In saying so, I believe that you should jump on that Julia City retail space and begin planning and preparation for a smooth expansion. I also recommend that you implement a key performance indicator system to all of your locations to guide store managers in your absence. By giving them a KPI system, it will not only help them to set and achieve targets, but it will also introduce a strong company culture through regular staff training and meetings. This will also allow you to focus on your Julia City expansion while simultaneously giving your Gainesville locations an opportunity to improve operations and leadership. Earlier, we talked about your key demographic being upper class couples and families, and this slide serves the purpose of giving you some ideas to appeal to that demographic. Everything your body needs, nothing it doesn't. This is a potential company message that you may want to assume. It is something that speaks to your products, but also your service to customers to promote a healthier lifestyle. Now, you are appealing to a predominantly young, wealthy, and healthy group of people. And for this reason, I advise you to focus your attention on digital mediums, which may include YouTube creators or even mom bloggers to promote your brand. This will also help to combat any negative impact that comes from the McFast food giant advertisement. Saying so, you should consider advertising on hip applications such as Instagram or TikTok. But as I was saying earlier, you will still sell to all demographics, so a lower portion of your budget must go to other forms of advertising, such as CBC Network or even magazine ads. Now that I've provided some recommendations for you to consider, I want to present you an expansion strategy timeline, and the purpose of this is to give you an idea where your budgeted $400,000 should go. I've allocated $250,000 to your Julia City expansion to start in the second quarter, which accounts for planning and preparation time. I have $50,000 set aside for marketing with content creators, also to start in the second quarter and in hopes of promoting your new location. Next, I have $25,000 which will go to magazines or TV networking in order to generally promote your brand, which is why this can start halfway through the first quarter. And finally, $75,000 will go towards improving company culture and training in all of your locations, and therefore should start immediately. I know this is a lot of money, so if you would like to discuss the details further, I'd be happy to do so. As your consultant, I'm obligated to provide some risks for you to consider should you choose an alternative other than mine. For the purpose of time, I will not go in depth to each one, but I do want to highlight the main concern of competitors entering the market in Julia City and taking your spot as industry leader. This is why it is very important to act now and get ahead of the competition. To conclude, I've provided some summary questions for us to quickly cover. The short questions are denoted by either a green checkmark or a red no. But the million-dollar question here is, are you in the right industry? And you absolutely are. Thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me directly.